Me and Liam really went out last night.
Fucking foolish.
I keep hearing about it. I feel like I was at a Mohegan Sun in Wilkes-Barre drinking a milkshake, walking around the casino.
That's awesome.
Wow, that sounds delightful.
While you were fucking having the time of your lives in the heart of New York.
I will say this though, I get perturbed. It's very difficult for me to go out on a Friday or Saturday night because there's a lot of people that are bad at going out, and yet there they are, and that is something like, okay, this pissed me. I'm just gonna share a gripe. This is like maybe an old lady gripe, but these girls that were a friend of my friend that I don't know, but they look like prescriptive dumb bitches. Like they just look like they were just like, and I met them because it was a friend of my friend, and I was like, hey, what's up? I have big like field hockey coach energy, weirdly. Because it doesn't really match up with the way I look. But I was like, hey guys, I'm Nina. Gave them these girls a big hug, and they were like acted like I was molesting them. Like they were like, oh yeah. And then they didn't look me in the eyes. And I offered, this is me as a, needy comedian, but I'm like, they have to like me. So I was like, oh, they're rude to me. I'll give them more of me and like try to be so accommodating to them. They can't deny how lovely and charming I am. So maybe like 10 minutes later, I'm like, they have all these heavy coats on, and I was like, hey, I can take your coat. Do you want me to put it back here? I like to. And they took their coats off. They did not look at me. They wouldn't even hand it to me. They gave it to their friend to give to me. Never said thank you. And then I was like, I hope these girls die tonight in a fucking car crash. Like I go from like being like, I hope you like me, and then you being like mean a little bit, and then me being like, yeah, I want you to literally choke on something tonight and die in like a bad way. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes I try to wish people ill, but in like in ways that it won't actually harm them physically, but meant like I'll be like, one day someone's gonna break your heart.
Or yeah, or like, oh, I hope you lose the ability to walk.
Sure, we could do that. Yeah,
We can do that one. No, I really, and I think that whatever. I don't need to psychoanalyze it, I guess, but I think that it's more like those people are kind of like shy, which a shy adult is just a rude person. What are you, a fucking kindergartner? Like when somebody's like, oh, he's shy. I'm like, he's 34. So
yeah, there is a fucking age limit to being shy.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? You're shy. Like, grow the fuck up.
Billy and Ched, one of my favorite characters that they do is a shy dad.
Yeah.
And so it's like this kid moving into college, and his dad's like peeking around. He's like, say hello. And he's like, hey, I'm Mr. Speak up. Hi, I'm Mr. Like, it's so fucking funny.
I just feel like or it comes from like a deep insecurity, but like they have to understand that like that manifests into you being an asshole. And it's like, do they care? Am I overthinking this?
I mean, it depends. I'm like, okay, if you're like on the spectrum, then I guess I'll give it to you.
These girls used fucking contour. They're not on the fucking spectrum. Like
right.
if you're using, no, they had lip injections. You're not on the spectrum.
Or maybe that's a sign that they're like super on the spectrum. They're just like super like hyper controlling of everything about their, I don't know if that means anyway, I'm talking out of my ass.
Dude, welcome to this podcast. I might as well have my butthole as my mouth. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. I just throw a lot of shit out there. I'm like, man, I hope people find this interesting, and they're not like, she's a charlatan. She has no idea what she's talking about. I'm like, newsflash, I don't.
You seem like you don't have a mean bone. Like, I can't imagine you being like a mean girl in high school.
I was nice, I think.
You are nice.
I was nice once. I had a little clique, and we would all like pick one person to ditch, and I definitely like we would ditch some person, and then they would be back, and then we'd ditch someone else. And so I did play along with that a little. So I feel like I was a little mean when I was younger.
Isn't that more tribalism though?
Surviving and then they ditched me. And I mean, I was like gone for surgery for a week. And then I came back and they were like, we realized we had more fun without you. And it was like,
they
really
said
mean.
that?
Yeah.
That's mean.
Wait,
So mean. I kind of loved it, but no, I'm really mean in my head.
Oh,
like
that's
obviously
a safe place to be mean.
Yeah, well, it's a dark place, not safe in here. But
what are you, a comedian?
I'm so depressed. I have to be funny. But no, I'm very nice to people, but it's really more out of fear. I want people to like me. I want people to think that I'm a nice person.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't think I could afford to be an asshole because in my head, I don't have enough other good qualities to override that.
I feel you. I feel like I can't be mean because I feel like I look mean. And it's like, to me, I'm like, if you think I'm mean and you're right, then I want to be right. I want them to be wrong. I want people's initial perception of me to be inaccurate. So I want to come across as like an ice cold cunt wearing like a fur jacket, looking like a Kennedy's wife. Okay. And then I want to be like, hey, what's up? I'm just a barrel of laughs. And, I talk like Danny DeVito. Let's be real. And then they're like, wow, people are different. Wow, my perception of you initially was not what I perceived. I'm like, oh, cha-ching.
Because it's a way to seem like really special and interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Because they're like, wow, you're like, so I can't put my finger on you. I thought you were one way, but you're the other.
Yeah.
So if someone thinks you're like really nice, are you like, no, I'm a bitch?
Nobody usually initially thinks I'm nice because I do dress like an elitist asshole. So
you look very nice.
Yeah, but like I don't look, if you saw me and we never spoke, the first word that would come out of your mouth to describe me wouldn't be like, she seems warm.
Yeah.
She seems approachable.
I've said this to Nina before where you have like a spy energy where like if I saw you like across the bar, I'd be like, she's poisoning some guy right now for sure.
Yeah. I do look like I work for a Russian oligarch and all I do is like pretend I'm gonna suck a guy's dick, but then instead I just give him poison. And then I'm like Putin, the job is done. And then that's pretty much it. But I completely identify with like the desire to be perceived as kind, but in my head, I am made of the most evil. Like the things that I wish upon, I just wished somebody would be, paralyzed. You know what I mean? Like I also, but here, my philosophy is that if somebody's just like walking around and in your head or to your friend, you'd be like, look at this stupid motherfucker's shoes. And they don't hear it. Then that's just fodder for you and your friend and you're having a good time. Like talking shit, I think is a beautiful pastime that is a really wonderful way to socialize or like a fun way just in your brain to like crack jokes. Now, it's another thing to go up to somebody and be like, hey, you look dumb, you stupid dumb. Hey, fucking dumbass shoes. Like then you're a piece of shit. But I think in the privacy of your own mind or with like a friend, talking shit is camaraderie. And I hope that people talk shit on me privately. I'm like, I don't want to hear the mean shit you have to say to me, but I'm sure I get made fun of secretly and privately all the time. Like talking behind somebody's back. Why would you be mean to them? Talk behind their back. Talk behind my back.
Right. Like all these people who are like, I'd rather you say it to my face. It's like,
why?
Would you rather that?
Are you that confident that you can? You say somebody says like a backhanded compliment, and I'm like, and I think about it for a decade. I'm like, God, it was like weird when he said, "You're pretty for somebody with that kind of eyebrow." Like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? I'm like, it was like, even when somebody's like in their brain being nice to you, I'm like, you're being an asshole.
I would much rather be lied to and just remain happy. Like this girl I used to go with hooked up with some dude and then told me about it, and I was like, why would you tell? I would never have found that out. I would never have known.
That's a mind game.
Yeah.
That was purposeful.
I'm like, literally, there was no evidence. I would have never figured it out. And you just had to fucking tell me. I was like, why?
Well, some people, they feel like being honest is like, I hate people like that when they're like, I'm just being honest. I'm like, you're being rude. You're being an asshole.
The famed Taylor Swift line, so casually cruel for the sake of being honest. What is it from All Too Well?
I got no idea.
Wow, you really pegged us wrong for thinking we were gonna know anything about Taylor Swift.
my
I'm not
Bricks.
even a Taylor Swift. That sounds like I would proudly be one if I was. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but my ex roommate is like a huge Swiftie. And one time I was like, but like, should I tell them this? And she was like, as Taylor Swift said. So I just pass it on.
First concert I ever went to, Taylor Swift.
Really?
What?
What year?
Why?
I was really young. My buddy had tickets. And he was like,
Sure,
How
your
old were
buddy
you?
had tickets.
How old were you?
Probably like 7th grade, maybe earlier than that.
The first concert I ever went to, this is pretty fucking dynamite. I was really young. I think I was 8 years old. Destiny's Child. Oh, bro.
That's pretty sick.
Classic.
I mean, can you believe that? Like retrospectively, I'm like, Jesus Christ! It's like I met the president. Like, you know, like I mean,
Yeah.
Jay-Z and Beyonce are like they actually are the royalty of the United States. They really are.
Yeah.
they really are. What was your
saw-
first concert?
Well, okay, so I have a big classical music background. I'm a violist by trade before comedy. So
Wow.
my first concert was probably some like classical shit, like some orchestra. But my first non-classical concert was Stevie Wonder at MSG.
Wow, that's so cool.
But I was like in high school. Like I hadn't been to a real concert yet.
That's like, but Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, it was great.
You went with your parents?
With my mom.
Yeah, that's a classic parent thing.
She's like a huge fan. I didn't know any of his songs. I was
If you're
like,
not a fan of Stevie Wonder, you don't like you don't like music. Like Stevie
Yeah.
Wonder is objectively good.
I just wasn't like I didn't know any. Once I heard it, I was like, oh, I like this. But I didn't. I was like, I'm gonna just listen to Beethoven. I was like a rebellious classical child.
But you're not like, I mean, in high school, I mean, unless I don't know. In high school, I was a little, you know, I was like some stupid artsy indie bitch. But it's not like you're like a 15-year-old and you're like, oh, I'd love to hear the works of Marvin Gaye. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not like, you don't know that shit. Like,
I want to familiarize myself with the canon.
yeah. You're like, oh, the Temptations, my favorite band. And you're like in high school in the 2000s. Like, no, that's not going to be a thing.
So were you in band then in high school?
I was in orchestra.
Orchestra.
What's the difference?
I think band refers more to like wind instruments, like wind ensemble.
And you
or brass.
play in like a band would play like at football games and stuff, and like right for like the cheerleaders, like they would have like the French
Yeah.
horn and like the big ass
the whole
drum.
things you blow into or the drums. Whereas I'm a string player. I play the viola. It's like violin but a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more used in like orchestral settings, which is like string sections and winds and everything.
But that's
around
like the flute. You know, they'd have like the flute and the clarinet.
sure. But flute and clarinet also do band.
All right. What's the skinny on like the pecking order of the orchestra kids? Who's the most fuckable? What's the most fuckable instrument? What's the like, oh, the bassoonists are like the nose pickers that like smell like fucking soup.
Yeah. So like the cool guys, like I feel like cellists and double bass, like the upright bass, those are like
Big dick energy.
and especially with bass, I think because of the size of the instrument, it tends to be more men. So for like all the women are like, ooh, like cool hot bass guys. And then there was always like a bass chick too that everyone was jealous
Yeah,
of.
and she only opens those legs up for that cello. You know what I mean?
And then like the jocks were like the brass players, like the trumpet, trombone. They're because
That tracks because they're like, I want to be loud and bombastic and borderline annoying. And you're like, oh, a jock.
oh yeah, and they're in the back. They don't in most orchestral pieces they play less than the other instruments, so they have a lot of rests. So there's like in rehearsal they're always like dicking around like on their phones and like just waiting to come in on their like 2 notes, and then like they go back to like watching the game on their. Whereas like the string players, we're like working our asses, like we're playing through the whole time.
What about these guys? For the
cymbals?
listeners out there, yeah, cymbals. What about those guys?
Well, because those guys they're percussionists, so they're playing all the different things back there. They're pretty cool. So percussion, brass, bass, those are all like definitely going to be where like some of the hotties are.
What are the nose pickers and the thick glasses wearers?
Woodwinds,
Okay.
like flute, oboe, bassoon, clarinet.
Yeah, clarinet seems like because it's all spitty too.
Oh yeah.
At the I'm staying at the Roxy, and the drummer, the guy that like there was just 3 people up playing live music, and he was just too confident. Like
Disgusting.
he was looking around the room like
Oh.
I'm
like
like
a sex offender
like he just-
searching for prey.
He just kept doing this thing. He was like, And I was like, ew, fucking
How
stop.
old was he?
Fucking 50. And I was like, stop looking at me like that,
Ew,
dude.
he just got a divorce for sure.
Why am I sexually attracted to you?
You're like, well, it's working.
I'm like, ugh, fucking knock it off, dude.
I played flute. Okay, this is kind of funny. So growing up, like in 5th grade, I think when we started like having instruments, like in school, they're like, you can choose an instrument, and I played violin, and I was actually pretty good at it. But you know, I'm 10, and then the next year they're like, oh, now you can stick with your instrument, or you can play wind instruments, and I was like, let's go flute, because I thought that flute, like for a girl, is like in my brain, in my 11-year-old brain, I'm like, yeah, that's a fuckable instrument. Like, because a flutist is like, you know, I'm like, ooh, I'm like a little fairy nymph, you know? So I picked up the flute. I missed school for about a week because I had strep throat when we were learning literally how to read the music for the flute, which is different than for every instrument. You know, everything like correlates differently. I am not proficient. I'm not professional, and I only played each instrument for a year, so I might be very wrong about this and everything else that I say. So, but it was I learned I missed the week in which you learn what fingers and like what notes correlate to the notes. So literally how to read the music to play it. Missed it. And I was such a like shy, weird child that I was afraid to ask like, hey, I missed this part because I was gone. Remember, could you teach it to me? So then for a full year, anytime we would do like an orchestral like performance, I would just blow into it and pretend. I would just look to the side and be like, I'm gonna do the same finger movements as a person for a year. That's how terrified I was of confrontation that I'm like, better not ask for help on this. So I have no idea how to play the flute. However, I would like fake practice. This is so George Costanza of me as a child that I like, my poor fucking father and my grandmother mother had to like listen to me probably just play the worst flute because I'm just like, and just nothing is making any sense.
It's hard to even get a sound out of the flute. I mean, I've tried.
You have to do like this, like you have to like purse your lips, like yeah, it's gross. You have to kind of look like a member of the British royal family. You have
or
to
like an Olsen twin smile.
Oh yeah, or you have to be like, you kind of have to look like Prince Andrew. Shout out Prince Andrew on the Epstein Island. You have to literally look like no, yes. Have you ever met somebody that's like medically British?
Probably, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where they're like, well, yes, there's not something going on. And I'm like, ew, why are you talking like that? You sound like a fucking idiot. What is this? I don't know. I met this one, sorry, this is a very quick segue. I met this one British guy, and even the way he sighed was British. He'd be like, he's like, yeah, yes. And I'm like, what? He's like, yes. Like even the, yeah.
Indubitably, yeah.
I was trying to think of like a,
It's a British sigh. Yeah, that's a British sigh. How long did you play viola for?
I still play. I started violin when I was 5. Then I had a crush on a guy when I was 10 who played viola. So I switched to viola.
That'll do it.
Viola was like my thing. That was like my career. I went to school for it and everything. And
where'd you go?
I went to Juilliard.
Oh my goodness.
For the viola.
She's
But
legit.
then so I was like freelancing after college and stuff, and I still do a little, but then I started going to open mics and
yeah, I was gonna ask, so how did you segue into, so do you play viola professionally?
yeah, and now I've actually brought it into my stand-up a little. So I do a lot of just jokes, but I'll like bring it on at the end, or I have this solo show where I work it in more throughout the whole thing. But it varies.
How did you transition into comedy, or what interested you into comedy?
I always was a huge stand-up fan. I just thought it was like the most amazing thing in the world. And it was like, this is magic that they're talking and I'm laughing and they're bringing stuff back. And like, you know, I would see like George Carlin and all the, and then, so I thought like in another life, I would be a comedian. And then when I was at college, I couldn't play for 2 months because I had like a wrist injury, a repetitive stress, tendonitis kind of thing. Really just from diddling myself too much. But
yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, how many hand shots you did? That'll do it.
A lot. No.
They say tennis elbow. I'm like, let's be real.
Yeah, right. I thought the injury was in the other hand. Oh, right. But so I couldn't play for 2 months at school, and I was like useless because my teachers were like, "Come back to me when you can play." You know, so
They all had accents, huh?
yeah, no, none of them did.
Like
but,
really obscure ones. They're like, I'm from Bulgaria. You're like, you talk like an American. They're like, yeah, no, it's just a Bulgarian accent.
There's all these depictions of like Juilliard and like these conservatories that are so like you said, like kind of people who are medically British or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like normal folk. I mean, if there's pressure, there's competition, but a lot of it's just like
It's school.
yeah, it's just school. But so I was like, well, why don't I go to an open mic because I can't play, and I've sort of been daring myself to do it, and I did it, and I loved it, and just sort of put it in the back of my mind that I wanted to do it. When I graduated, I had all this free time because I was just like freelancing as a violist.
How old were you when you started?
Stand up,
Yeah,
24, because I was in a grad school program.
Ah, I see.
So, well, no, I did my first open mic when I was like 22, but I didn't go back again really till I was 24.
That's similar with me.
Yeah.
I started the first open mic I did. I was 22, and then I kind of like was in and out of it. I was like I would do some, and then I would like felt scarred from the interactions of like open mic male comedians, and I'd be like, I'm good. And then I was really squeamish. And then 24, I really like put my full bussy into it and just like charged on.
Yeah.
So.
Sometimes it takes a couple tries to like rev yourself up or really realize how to do like, oh, I should record every set and like listen. Oh, okay, I get it now. Or you can do multiple sets in a day.
Or even finding open mics that are conducive to like your creativity and support, as opposed to like feeling like, oh, this feels like a bad energy space.
Yeah, finding places you feel like safe in.
Yes, to express.
Using that word.
I know. We would never. We forebode anyone from saying the word safe space, but you did it trickily. You said defining a space that is safe.
Right. It's not a safe space.
No, we would never say that.
It's just a safe.
We're not.
Space.
We don't say safe spaces. We're not neoliberals. We don't say that shit.
I used to go to only music open mics because I was too afraid to go to comedy ones.
But that's cool because then you get like a real audience for your jokes.
Yeah, because there was like people there, and then they would be like, "What the fuck? Why is this kid doing this
Would
to
it
me?"
be people just as mad as when you go to a comedy open mic and then somebody's like, "I'm gonna bring an acoustic guitar and just sing," and like we're all like, "How dare you?" Was it that energy? Except
No, well, the first place I went to, and like I would only go to this place for a while. It was about like 20 people in their 60s. And they were all friends, and this was like the thing they did. And it was like the attic of this bar, and I would just show up, and they kind of were just like, "Oh, here's this like." I was a child. They were like, "This young boy, let him run around." And they were so nice to me. They'd be like, "You're good. Don't worry about it, man. Like, get him next week." And I'm like, "All right, guys, thanks."
I like
You were
it. It's like,
raised
he's
by-
a young boy. Look, he doesn't even need a drink inshore a bit of musil. Look at it, he's so limber. They were just so envious of the fact that your bones weren't crumbling in your body.
They'd always come up to me, they're like, my friend is Scott Malrow. He used to do stand-up. I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, it's like an old racist comedian.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, oh,
he did
cool.
blackface for 40 years. He made a living off of it. Have you considered that? I'm
You're
like,
like, oh, is that a long time ago? And you're like, yes, until 1989. You're like, oh shit, Ted Danson over here. No one knows Ted Danson did blackface.
really?
Oh,
Why?
gosh.
This is like buried. He used to. Okay, so also his ex-girlfriend is Whoopi Goldberg. He was with
What?
Whoopi Goldberg for a long time. Ted Danson
I thought
was with
Whoopi
Whoopi
Goldberg was a lesbian.
Great question. I don't know.
Is she not?
I thought that too, but maybe I'm just stereotyping. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like,
She's got big
or
lesbian
did I
energy.
just assume?
She also seems like a high school counselor.
Yeah, like a cool
Chunky jewelry, thumb rings. So like either power lesbian or like Wiccan, like
Fun ant energy.
Yes, exactly. But no, her and Ted Danson were a couple. This is true. And then Ted Danson for Halloween one year did blackface, and as Al Jolson, he did like Al Jolson, like the what is that? The jazz man. Yeah, and it's not buried. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. He's on Curb Your Enthusiasm, having a full ass career.
What's he famous for? Because I only know him from Curb.
Cheers, baby.
He was on Cheers.
I only know him from The Good Place because
No, he's
watched
had
The
a
Good
Cheers
Place.
was the first one, and he was like a very like fuckable dad type. You know what I mean? He's like tall and has like one of them big like politician jaws. He does look like a senator.
Yeah, he does.
He
Yeah.
is like he looks like a sexy senator. I'm into that.
yeah, he's got a thing.
It's I don't know. Do you have a type? Do you have sexy senator type?
I don't think I have a type. I really don't, because I if you look at all my past people, they're all kind of different. I think there's like an energy that I'm into more than anything.
What's the energy?
Like, like in bed, there's like a dominance that comes out, but it's like hidden.
But how can you tell that before you lead with your pussy?
You can't, but then you can't. But then if someone's initially just kind of cute to me, and then all of a sudden we get to it, and I'm like, I knew it. Like I had a feeling.
Yeah. So because you can kind of like intuit those things when you meet somebody. You kind of can tell. Like women's intuition, we've talked about, is no joke. It's very real. And I think men have what I call stupid intuition, where they are also intuitive because human beings, like we're all in a neural network, but men don't even know. And that's why when you're like, when you're dating, like let's say you're dating a few people at once or seeing a few guys at once, they all are hitting you up at the exact same time because I think they're like, oh, I should hit her up. Oh, I should hit her up. They don't know that they're all like connected.
Right.
And then when their intuition is like they don't know it, whereas like a woman is like very tapped into it. But guys have it. They just like it's like aimless. Like they just are like, I don't know. I feel something's happening, but I think I should do this, and it's the thing. But are you good at reading people's like guys' energy? Are you a good picker? Do you have a good picker?
Sure. I don't know. I used to sleep around so much and like had so much fun that it was just like, I don't know, I would just throw a bunch of shit to the wall and see what stuck kind of thing. Mentality, strategy. That's the word I was looking for.
I think that's a really good strategy.
I don't know what it is. Like I'm so insecure and self-hating in so many ways, but when it comes to pursuing guys, something clicked for me like early college where I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Anyone I want, I'm going for whatever I want, and if they don't like me, fine, I'll go to the next one. Like I just have like no shame or fear around that area.
Are you a pursuer?
Yes.
How do you do that?
I have also been pursued, but I'm not afraid. What do you want to know?
Well, I asked that because I'm very curious about that because I am not at all. I never have been, which I think very much surprises people because I have a very big personality. I'm very forward in a lot of ways, but the idea of going up to a guy and being like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm getting sick to my stomach thinking about that. Like, I can't even look. If a man is looking at me, I'm like, I can't make eye contact with him because I'm just so afraid. And so, really, I've had a lot of sexual experiences. That's layman for I'm a slut, but it's all been men literally coming up to me. Like not even like the back and forth, like very rarely has it been a back and forth. It's like if they break the ice, if they're like, hey, what's up? Then I'm like, okay, I'm in, I'm good. But the idea of like, I mean, I've been places where I'm like, damn, that guy is so hot and I really hope he talks to me. And sometimes he does, and that's fucking awesome. And sometimes he doesn't, and that's, I would never speak to him.
Do you feel like you also want the validation that like, well, they pursued me, so I know they like me?
100%. I know that I'm doing that because it's a built-in non-rejection mechanism. Funny enough, though, you're a comic, so and you're female comic, so this might happen to you as well. You could identify with this, but the amount of times a guy has come up to me because he's sexually attracted to me, and then I don't know, I do my fucking Tony Soprano voice or whatever, and I'm like even just minor league funny. He just looks at me like I am like disgusting. Like he's like, oh, cool. Anyway,
some guys like really can't handle like not even like a funny voice, but just that you're like talking a little more than maybe like I don't know. I've definitely had guys come up to me and then I'm just like, I don't know what's up with you. Like I'm just having a good time.
And then they're like, "You, why don't you talk like Elizabeth Hurley?
Yeah.
Why aren't you like a French spy? Like what's going on?"
And I don't care. I'm just like, beats me. See ya. Like like some freak will like me, and
Well, yeah, I definitely like, I'm very happy that I lead with my personality. I mean, it's an unscrubbable thing about me, but it's nice because I'm like, look, like you're going to get it either way. It's going to come out either way. And it's like, I also think like that's small dick energy. If you think a woman talks too much or her being like clever, a little funny is like intimidating to you or unattractive to you, I'm like, you definitely have nothing to offer. You're boring and not funny and probably don't fuck good. Sorry.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
If you can't handle this, then you don't deserve this.
Oh my God. Well, I mean,
no, it's true though.
Yeah.
It's true. But that's also why I'm a pursuer, because for me it's like, well, let me just go for you and find out right away if you would, and you know, I don't know, maybe being pursued is like unattractive to them, but that's also like not someone I'd want to date then. If they're like turned off by a woman who like knows what she wants.
How do you lead with, are you like more platonic when you say hello? Like when you open and then it can like, so you read it? Cause I really like when guys do that. Cause sometimes when a guy's just like, hey, what's like, he's like really forward. I'm like, dude, you don't even know where I'm at. But the best is when the best way to like really talk to a girl, in my opinion, for a man is to just be very friendly. Cause then like nobody can really combat that. Right. You know, like you can't really be like, actually I have a boyfriend. Cause then you seem like a dumb, like a cunty bitch. Like, you know, like it's, if you're just kind of like, I'm a friendly person, we're just having a conversation, you know? So do you do that? Or you kind of like, are you like very flirty initially? Or are you just kind of like what's your icebreaker?
Well, okay. I will, with this, sure, I'm a pursuer with the caveat that like often it's someone who I already know from like comedy or from music, you know, like it's someone I've already met. So it's like, I might be a pursuer in the sense that like, I'm going to slip into their DMs and like, it's 11 at night. So they're probably going to like know that it's because I want to sleep with them.
What do you say?
I'll just like respond to a story or just be like, like I'll just think of anything to say, honestly. Or if it's like, I don't know, I first of all, I'm in a relationship now, so it's been a while, but I feel like I would have no trouble commenting on like a photo of theirs and been like nice, or like if they posted in their stories replying like, this looks like you look so good, like I would
oh man,
or like
you go forward,
or like you're killing it, or like something, I don't know, or
I
like
love that,
nice, or something like that could be almost goofy, but if they want to take it that way, then I'm like ready.
This is really good advice, because I would never like, I am like paralyzed by fear like all the time. It's so stupid and lame. But I'm in a relationship now, so nothing really, it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters.
It all worked out. But
the infinite abyss of
yeah.
But
I just remember being like, and it's cool. I mean, the amount of numbers I've been able to clock. First episode of this podcast we ever did, I told Liam how many people I've slept with, and it's bad because like your reaction was like so cartoonishly ridiculous, and so many people that have listened to the podcast now are like, oh yeah, I think she wrote 3 numbers down. I'm like, all right, everyone calm down. Everyone calm the fuck down, all right? But it's like, why not? But I really admire that, your ability to do that, because I've always wanted to be able to do that.
I mean, for anyone listening, because I guess you don't need, you're in a relationship.
This isn't being recorded.
I would just say, especially, I mean, I'm only speaking from being a straight woman pursuing straight men, but like, I think guys are not going to be like, why is this girl like messaging me right now? Like, what a weirdo. Like, guys are always happy to like hear from you. I don't know. What do you think?
That's how I met my girlfriend.
Did she pursue you?
Yeah.
So
how did she do it? How'd she open?
It was, that's not for the
private.
pod. Yeah. But, like immediately I was like, oh my God. I was like, yes, this is great. I was like,
she's
fucking
pretty.
Yeah. So like, I was like, this is the best thing of all time. And I was like immediately being like, fuck yeah.
And you probably felt like a rock star.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I am the king of everything. I'm like, this is great.
And it's cool. Like when somebody also is into you for like what you're making, like there was like, that's like, you know, why I think online dating and finding people is actually like really great, because it's like you do see a lot, at least what they're sharing. Obviously it's a very curated, you know, map of whatever this person wants you to perceive of them. But she saw you in this like, oh, look at this art this guy makes. This guy's hilarious. He like, oh, he's cute. All this, it's like she got to kind of see a fuller picture of you and became attracted to that. And then that gives you this confidence. So you can, if anything, it really nourished the meeting and the relationship because like she approached you, she DM'd you. You're like, wow, this girl's hot. This is cool. You have a little and she thinks I'm cool. So then you have the confidence to then bring to, you're not nervous because you're like, oh, like she's into me. And then so it like is a positive.
I still was though. Like it didn't help. Like the first date was still me being like, fuck, I hope she likes me. Like the whole time I'm like, fuck, don't say that. Don't do this. Like it was still very.
Of course. Well, you're like, oh, is she only falling? Does she like a facsimile of me or does she like me?
Right. Because she only knew you from online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
you
is a
didn't
persona.
know her. Yeah. So you're like, well, is she going to like the real me?
Yeah.
And she did.
She did. And I was like, yes. But it was, she was like, so what do you do? I was like, I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Have you ever stayed in something too long because you fell so hard for their, like, what you said, facsimile, like their image that you thought you would like, and even though like they proved very quickly that they weren't that, you were just sort of like, but that image I had, like I got it, so I want to keep it.
It's keeping up appearances too. It's like, it's if anything, like you're into somebody like conceptually, like you're like, oh, I'm into this concept, and then it feels cool. Like for me, I've dated guys that are like way like above my pay grade looks wise, and like guys that are like so beautiful, and to the point, and people like, I know I'm attractive, but to the point where I'm like, oh, I have a joke about it where I'm like, oh, I'm sure when people see us like walking down the street, they're like, she probably has a really good personality. Because I've stayed in those when I'm like, I can't stand this person. And not because like, I've never really dated like mean guy. Very few have I dated guys that are like really like toxic and like shitty, but really more so like, we just don't get along in this way. Like just intellectually, personality wise, but I'm like, God, he's so attractive and he like dresses cool or he has a cool job and he's like, he has cool friends or like, it's like, he's a part of this scene that I like and everything. And I'm like, ugh, and I keep going, or I get dickmatized like pretty easily. We're like dick whipped. You're looking at me surprised.
Dickmatized? I've never heard that. I love that.
Man. When the cock is so good that you're just like you're arrested by it. You're just like, you're like, God damn it. And then they're like so stupid too. Like they're like, they might as well be like, their brain is just like a monkey on a tricycle, like going in a circle.
Literally hypnotized.
Yeah, they're like, da, 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 da. And then they just.
It's the opposit of post-nut clarity, where it's like right after you're in like this haze of, oh, I love him, where it's like the guy's like, I think I need to be alone.
Yeah.
Right now.
No, opposite. When before I come, it is post-nut clarity because like I'm like, holy shit, I get to have sex with this like gorgeous person. This is so amazing. And the high school like misanthrope in me feels so vindicated from all of the rejection that I had as a child and like a teen that I'm like, wow, I get to date like a hot person. Or now like I loved when I was single, I would fuck like so many like gorgeous finance bros that were like evil and like, stupid because it felt like, oh, all of those like popular kids in high school that treated me like shit. I'm like, haha, you wanted to fuck me the whole time, but you just thought I was weird.
Oh, I used to love like, and I was also not cool in high school. So like there was like a validation thing of like, now I'm getting like the finance bro-y type guy that didn't want me. But also I think if I deemed someone like a bad person, sleeping with them almost made me feel like I was like getting them in some way, like tricking them, like, well, you're an asshole, but I'm gonna fuck you.
And
like,
then and I don't care. There is almost a power. No, I feel you. There's almost a power too of like, I'm gonna fuck you and I have no skin in the game. I like don't like you at all. You literally mean nothing to me. Yeah. So like,
that's the nicest thing you could do to a fella. Just not care about him and fuck him. It's the nicest, most pleasant thing.
It's great. Like that's why I'm an advocate for one night stands because it's like this id of just like, you want to fuck me, I want to fuck you. Let's not like go on a stupid date where we're asking each other questions about like, did you see White Lotus? Yeah, wow, what a show. Fuck that, dude. Fuck that shit. Like, if you're gonna just like, God, I went on so many stupid bad dates, like from like online dating of like guys, and I'm like, I don't even want to fuck this guy, and I don't like his personality. So then at least if I like went out with friends one night to a bar and there was like a hot guy and he's giving me the eyes, and then he comes up to me and I'm like, yeah, this guy's hot. I can tell he's not a sociopath or a serial killer, and then we have sex and it's just really fun. And I'm like, I don't like this guy. His favorite band is like fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know some of you pepperheads out there are gonna come for me, but like, whatever. He likes fucking chain smokers. I'm like, we'll never get along. We'll never date. If my friends knew that like I even let this person inside of me, they would troll me for the rest of my life. So, but I'm like, great, I get to fuck this hot guy. We know that it feels like star-crossed lovers. It's like, we come from the other side of the tracks.
Right.
Like, you think that like, I don't know. They think that like Jack Johnson is deep. And I'm like, dude, I'm like fucking like watching like German like art house films. Like, we are not the same. And I just feel like we will never be the same. The things that I like, you think are stupid. The things that you like, I think are fucking lame.
They think women shouldn't vote, and you're just like, I mean,
look at it. Look at that jawline.
Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know.
you're just like, we'll never talk again, but this one night.
But it is like so satisfying to like, I've never hate fucked somebody. I have slept with people that I did not really like because they were attractive, but I did hate make out with somebody. This like guy who like the only way I could describe him is like big Tucker Carlson energy, but attractive. Okay. Tucker Carlson, you know, the guy with the bow tie on Fox News who was like,
yeah, everyone tells me I fucking look like him.
You
all the
look
time.
nothing like him.
All the time.
You literally look.
Every fucking video.
That's just, that's not true.
It kind of is, though.
I don't think you do look like him. I really don't. Okay, whatever. But yeah, he's just.
You could play him in the biopic.
I could.
You could, but Paul Dano could too.
True.
Yes.
And he'd probably do a better job.
Yeah, am I a casting? Am I a renowned casting
Thanks
agent?
for ripping that opportunity
That's actually
away.
a really great cast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that how they talk?
I should quit comedy
Great
and
cast.
get into casting. But I hate made out with somebody. I was at a party. I was DJing a party for some insufferable rich people in LA. Some like fucking like, it's my 21st birthday. My dad's paying like $30,000 for me to have this party like at our Malibu house, blah, blah, blah. And I DJ with a friend of mine, and this guy like kept coming up to me and like requesting shit. And it would be like, hey, you should play Gangnam Style. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna just the birthday girl actually just like, it's like a 70s birthday. She wants me to play like David Bowie and like, you know, T-Rex. And he's like, oh yeah, that's like gay stuff though. So like, anyway, can you play like Jay-Z? Dude, I fucking love Jay-Z, dude. And I'm like, this guy, I hate him so much. But then he like kept coming up to me like a lot. And I was like, wait, I think this guy I think he's into me. And I got really hammered because I hated everyone there. It just felt like a party filled with like the most idiotic, like narcissistic dumbasses. And I was like, so I'm just like, I'm getting fucked up. And I'm with luckily I was with a friend of mine, her and I were DJing together. And so her and I are just getting like smashed and just like fucking playing music. And at the end of the night, like before we like get our Uber, he's like, so you do have to, blah, 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 like trying to hit on me. And I was so like drunk, but like drunk with power that I just like, he was by a hedge and I pushed him into the hedge, and then I just got on top of him and I like violently made out with him like for like 5 minutes. We were like disgusting. And then I like pushed him away, and then I was like, bye. And he's like, whoa. And I was like, yeah. And I felt like it was like how you say like fucking somebody that you don't like, it just feels like so powerful.
Because it's like, well, I'm going to get the one thing I want from you. I mean, it's very objectifying, but it's like,
It's
I'm going
also
to take
a masculine
mine. Yeah.
kind of
I'm going to get
behavior.
mine because that's what the only purpose you can serve, because I deem you a bad person, is that you and I can like experience physical pleasure together.
Oh yeah, this guy was for sure like a Jordan Peterson fan. You know,
Oh,
like
God.
you could
Oh,
tell,
yeah.
like I could tell that this guy like really is like, he just barely thinks women should talk. And then I think he was like probably toggling or like having a difficult time understanding why he was attracted to me. You know, like, I think because he was like, I was like, oh, because I was just being kind of a cunt to him and being like, no, I'm not going to play that. Or like, yeah, you're like kind of annoying me. He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. And I was like being kind of funny. And I was like, this guy is like so confused. He's like, wait, like, she's like a woman. He was like talking and I like want to fuck her. I'm like so confused. Like, he's like,
and you're like, shh, be confused.
yeah,
Let's make out.
It's fine.
Just
you know.
picturing the scene in Step Brothers where she like throws Dale up against a urinal and fucks him in the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, the first time I ever watched Step Brothers, which I think is actually, it's a Criterion Collection film. It is so good. It is I think it's the funniest movie that's ever been made. Truly, I do. Now, the first time I ever watched it, which is the weirdest place, and to watch Step Brothers, I was in Paris. I like watched it in Paris for the first time, and I was like, I'm like, you know, people go to the Champs-Elysees, and I'm like, give me a Will Ferrell flick, bro.
Les frères Step. Was it like?
Les Step Frères. Oh my God. How'd you meet your boyfriend?
On an app.
Nice.
Which
Classic.
one?
We met on Raya.
Sick.
I only say it like that because people react.
Well, I
like that.
Raya was the only dating app that I'd ever been on, and I was on it for a few years. Smart, because you didn't want guys to be like, "Hey, you dumb bitch, here's a picture of my cock." And then you're like, "Oh, excuse me, you're ugly." Because I had so many girlfriends that had like really
Jesus.
fucked up interactions on Tinder and Bumble. So.
That was me. I was doing all those.
Yeah, he was just calling girls fat and stupid.
I make burners just to get some shit out.
Oh,
yeah. At least you admit it now, man. I like that. That's cool. That's nice.
Do you wish that you like? Sometimes I'm like, I wish I had like had a stint on just Hinge to like go through the, I don't know, sift through the.
You ever like play a dating app on someone else's phone? I call it play it because it's like feels like a video game. It's fun to do that. It's like fun to do it, but Raya is cool because it's vetted, so you just know the person. Like you feel like you're not gonna get chopped up in like 1,000 little pieces if you meet up with this guy, and that feels kind of nice. And then there's like a lot, whatever. It's built well, and I met actually a lot of really cool people on there. I met a guy that I ended up dating on and off for like a year.
Oh wow!
I ended up I met guys that like hung out with a few times and like are friends of mine now. And
Still drop the ball on Fred Durst.
What?
Fred Durst. Limpa biscuit. Biscuit de limp. Yo, I got the best Raya situations, okay? Chandler Bing. No. I still have his phone number. I have Matthew Perry's phone number.
Should we call him?
No. No. But he would text me sometimes. But yeah, Matthew Perry in and out of my digital life for like a year and a half. Fred Durst, that was like, God damn. That was a real, I think I really fucked that one up. I have a boyfriend now and I love him, blah, blah, blah. But like Fred Durst, because he became self-aware. And what I really admire about Fred Durst is that, you know, he became like very famous when he was like 30. Mm-hmm. Like Limp Bizkit took off when he was like 29, 30. And one of their first concerts, I think I've talked about this in the pod before.
Yeah, but it's awesome.
One of the first, like when they would go on tour, they would have a giant toilet on stage and they would come out of the toilet. I'm like, that's my love language. Like, I'm like, that's sick. I think, like, I love that Beavis and Butthead shit. But yeah, he slid into my DMs. Like, I was like, oh, because that's the funny thing about Raya. Like, I know that Harlan Williams thinks I'm hot, and Chris Kattan and Pauly Shore. And it's just like these, like, defamed 90s celebrities. And it's just.
Harlan was chilling. Did he do anything?
Oh, defamed, not in like Me Too. I mean, no longer famous or relevant.
Gotcha.
Or like Jim Brewer, you know? It's like, whatever. The cast of Half-Baked except sans Chappelle. But Fred Durst and I matched and I was like, ooh, but you never know. Because sometimes you'll match with like a celeb or like a hot person that you're like, he's never going to talk to me. He DMs me and he goes, hey, Nina, may I take your order? And I'm like, okay, first of all, pussy on wet. Okay, let's go. I'm like, that's a great opening line in my opinion.
Sick.
So then I go, finally, some service around here. I know. And I'm like, am I gonna fuck Fred Durst? Like, I'm like, I will for the bit. And then he like he was trying to be funny, and then he said something like so dumb. He was like, yeah, I'll take the snozberries and like the vegan socks. And I was like, ew, he's like trying to be funny, but he's like just a dumb bro. And then I didn't respond to that for like a few days because I didn't know how to. And then he unmatched me. But because when he DM'd me and we had this exchange, you're not allowed to screenshot on Raya, as we know. My friend, my roommate at the time, she took a photo of my phone, so I do have the evidence. I have it all.
Dude, if you leave the Durst hanging on red, he will unmatch you.
I mean, I thought I had a Durst to quench, but I guess I was.
Oh, you should have said that.
Damn.
Yeah.
You'd be fucking Nina Durst right now.
I like him bummed because I do really dig him, and I think he's super self-aware now. And he literally like he does a Fred Durst jazz night at this club in Hollywood where he literally just has like Glenn Miller style like jazz bands play, and I'm like, and he hosts it, and I'm like, he's so cool. And he played DJ Durst on Derek Beckel's show, which is on Adult Swim, that I was a writer for 2 seasons. So it was like there was a connection. But he's like in comedy stuff, like he's aware of shit. I really fucked up.
I want a rom-com now starring Fred Durst.
He also, this is true, and I want to watch this movie. I actually think I should watch it. We'll talk about it next time we record. There is a movie that he directed that stars John Travolta as a special needs person.
Yep, gonna have to see that.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
When? What year?
Not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna need to see that.
Gotta
immediately.
watch that.
That really flew under the radar, right?
Got to. Yeah, they buried it. Miramax buried that.
Buried it like Ted Danson's past.
Yeah, you're like, you got to scrub that from the internet.
Yeah.
So you met your boyfriend on Raya. Now, did you reach out to him first?
No, because when I was on Raya, it was a time when I was like kind of heartbroken from like a past thing, and I was kind of like,
Hence online dating. That's why you do it.
yeah, but I had this mentality of like, I'm not gonna pursue anyone right now because I've just like gotten myself into too many shenanigans. So like, if someone messages me, but it wasn't out of fear. It was just like I wanted to set some like limits for
Lack
myself.
of motivation.
Yes, I wasn't. But he messaged me, and he was in LA. I was in New York. So I like didn't respond, but then we found out we had like music people in common, and he like wrote me again, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's kind of a boring origin story.
Does he live in LA still?
He did, but I got him to move.
Guess what, honey?
Wow.
I did the same damn thing because my boyfriend reached out to me via Instagram, but it was platonic. Like he is a filmmaker, and he has an interview series, so he interviews like storytelling stuff, and comedians will have on because comedians are just like de facto good at telling stories. So he found me on like Instagram and then reached out to me on his professional page, and was like, hey, I'd love to interview you. I'm like, oh, I just moved to New York, but I'm there all the time. I'll hit you up when I'm back there. And he goes, okay, sounds good. I'll give you a follow for my personal page. He follows me from his personal page, and I'm like, this guy's hot. This guy's hot, but could have a girlfriend. Motherfucker could be married. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I just like don't think about it. A few months later, go to LA. I'm like, oh, I'll hit up that guy. So it's during the pandemic, and I'm like, I want to have content. There's like, we're in such a content desert. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And anyway, we hit it off very well, fell in love, and then he moved here a few months ago to New York, and now we live together. I know, dude.
How long were you with your boyfriend before he moved?
We were in an on and off thing because of long distance, but we had known each other for like 2.5 years.
Okay.
So it was, or 2 years maybe. It's all the pandemic and everything is so muddied.
Yeah.
How long has he been here now?
A little over a year and a half.
And do you guys live together?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common.
We do. What's your address?
It is. Oh, well, the last word. I'll just tell you what the last word is my social, and then you
Great,
can track me.
Yeah.
All comedians have a database where we can just look up our last word or
and
social.
your
We can
routing
find each other.
number and your
That's wonderful. I mean, like it doesn't it feel like you have like the bombest pussy in the world when like somebody moved across the country for you? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I never even think about it, but it must be pretty good.
I just feel like I'm like, damn,
Gotta
I just feel like people like my boyfriend lived in LA, which is like the land of hot women. And I'm like, man, you had to like outsource one.
Well, my boyfriend always jokes that like he couldn't find anyone in LA. He had to like, and as soon as he like searched New York, his first match in New York was me. So he was just like, LA women are just like too picky. None of them wanted me. And then like he found like some New York rat like me, and I'm just like, I'll take you.
Have you lived in New York your entire life? Mm-hmm. Do you have like, yeah, because you went to Juilliard, you grew up here. You said you grew up very downtown, Manhattan. That's so cool. Anytime I meet somebody like grew up here, I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Where'd
man.
you grow up?
It's not cool. Orange County,
Oh,
California. California.
That's cool.
California.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Massachusetts,
Okay.
Boston.
suburbs, but yeah, nothing cool. Yeah, growing up in New York City is fucking cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
no,
got
but
to
it's
see
all
bums
like,
jerking off when you were a child. That's
awesome.
dope, dude.
I'd be like,
I
what's
wish
that?
I got that.
I wish I had seen that. I didn't know how to jerk off until I was like fucking.
Yeah, you just had child molesting priests,
Yeah.
and I just had like plastic surgery disastered fucking zombies.
But to me, it's like crazy that people had houses with multiple floors and like backyard, like outside that they owned themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I had cousins who lived in New Jersey, and we'd go there for Thanksgiving, and I'd be like, oh, the suburbs are just like in movies and where my cousins live. Like, I didn't realize that was like how most people live.
That's most of there's like literally LA and like there's like a few cities, and then the rest of it is just like might as well be Texas. Like everything looks exactly the same.
yeah. So it's all to me, that's like exotic. I was going to say erotic. The suburbs are so erotic.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, aren't they?
Do you think you'll end up in a suburban area or no?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I was
Have a
about
whole
to say
litter
so
of
many
kids.
things. I don't know. Maybe if I had a bunch of kids and I wanted to move like right outside the city,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'd ever move too far away.
Are you like a New York loyalist? Are you like you really enjoy living here, and you're just like, I will be here like for the foreseeable future?
I think it's honestly because my family lives here and I love my family. So it's just they're here and so many opportunities are here. Why would I leave?
Yeah.
But down the line, if people move or die or whatever, you know, like
Yeah, but that's how I felt with LA because I grew up around there. It's like Orange County, LA, and I'm so lucky that I grew up there for a lot of reasons, but the fact that like I go to LA a lot for like, you know, a podcast, and I get to see my mom. My mom picks me up from the airport. I get to see my dad. I get to see all my old friends that like have been in my life forever. But I will say New York is just like a more magical place. Like it's so, and I'm like an evangelist for it. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I have the fucking rose-colored glasses on. I love it here. I think it's like, I don't know. It's like inspiring. It's the most diverse city in the entire world. Like Jackson Heights, Queens is the most languages spoken within a however mile radius in the entire world.
Oh shit.
You know, like that is such a amazing thing.
Sounds difficult.
Well, just like you can have like it is every like race, ethnicity, culture, like subculture, whatever you're into, like you can find. And when you get all of those people from around the world, not just in the US, but like around the world to like pursue, to be like, I have an idea for my life that's different than this, than my current circumstance. I mean, that's an undeniable energy you got in this city, you know? And then people that live here too, it's like that come from that. It's just like, I just love it here. Like I'm really trying to make like I told Liam, I was like, so when you move into New York, I like want everyone to move here.
Oh, everyone should. I mean, I love New York, probably just partly because it's home. I can't tell if it's because it's like the greatest city in the world or if it's just my home. But there also is something to say. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, there are too many choices here. Like, you're almost like paralyzed by the choice. And it, like, would I be happier someplace a little more limited where I just sort of like lived my little stupid life? And whereas in New York, I'm like, well, why am I eating here when I could be eating at like the best of this somewhere else?
It's interesting how like, yeah, because that's why they call it the illusion of choice. Because then you're really like, it's like Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. It's like, you know, not to be all Soviet about it, but it's like, you don't need to choose that many things. Like, it's just not like, you know, you don't need to have that many choices. But I understand what you're saying of just like, okay, like, I don't know if it's, I think New York is the greatest city in the world. And I will say you don't have to want to live in the greatest city in the world, because living in the greatest city in the world is expensive. It's overwhelming. It's loud. It's aggressive sometimes. Sometimes it's scary. It's annoying. Sometimes it can be very inconvenient. So I get not wanting to live in the greatest city in the world because of all of those factors. But I think it is the greatest city in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that is interesting. We have this pressure that we should seek out the best always.
American exceptionalism.
Right, but no, even just because it is the greatest city in the world doesn't mean you should live there.
No.
Because it might not be good for you.
It's preference.
Yeah.
Everything's preference. Like, I totally understand people wanting to live like next to a lake in a quiet town. I'm like, that sounds wonderful. It all sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I grew up in a really small town. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I fucking, it was boring. I'm like, dude, boring's cool. Like, that means like getting high in your friend's basement is exciting. That's like...
Right, it makes these like mundane things kind of like,
Yeah. You know, have you heard the thing where it says, boredom is just your inability to pay attention. Like if you're bored,
dick, whoever said that.
I think it's true.
No,
I like
it's true.
I like that. I like that because I think it's like you really, if you're bored, it's just that you're not giving enough like credence or attention to
Try Vicodin. You'll be less bored.
Oh my God. Or you'll be so bored that you're in peace. It's like your brain is in a fucking jacuzzi.
Take a Percocet. Boredom's cool.
Well, you did ketamine last night and you're like, I didn't like it. I'm like, well, you should have tried it for the first time when you were blacked out drunk. How about that? You're like, I have something to say about it. I can't believe Charlie gave it to you. Jesus.
Chuck Diesel.
Yeah, don't call him that. He's already... He's like, oh God. Yeah, we gotta go. But hey, what do you have to plug? Tell us
when's this coming out?
A few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, you can just follow me, isabelhagen.com. Everything is there.
And your Instagram is Isabel Hagen.
Isabel Hagen _ some like inactive person in Sweden has my name handle.
That's such a sweet. Oh my God, you have such a hardcore Swedish name.
I know.
And
I think she's Swedish. Yeah, but I'm German Jewish. My
Same
dad.
thing.
Yeah.
German Jewish is Swedish.
Yeah.
They even sound similar.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
You're great. You're really funny and talented.
Oh, you guys are. Oh, you.
Hey, you know. All right, guys, thanks for listening and have a beautiful day or night or whatever time it is you're listening to this. Evening, dawn, dusk, witching hour.
Maybe you're drinking and driving.
Yeah, if you're drinking and driving, this podcast is exclusively for drinkers and drivers. Just kidding. I'm going to go to jail.
Just kidding. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh.